loves to go really aggressive at times. And maybe if you just let them do that and capitalize on their mistakes, you could definitely take some team fights for sure.
Oh, look at this. Ringo again. So you're not going to get your wish, Valdez.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Sangho, why do you do this to me?
Same bans as the last game. Glaive, curiously, for Invincible Armada. And the Adagio once more for Hunters. And we may just see the same damn thing from Invincible Armada, actually.
Could be. I mean, this is what they're used to. I mean, well, outside of having a Catherine instead of an Adagio, that is for sure. That's the one big difference here. But I don't know. I'm not sure, though, if Wine could really go for some kind of crystal-powered jungle here. You know, I was really looking toward Sangho to maybe go for Vox. He did use it 3 times, and once versus PQQ, it didn't quite work out. But versus Victorious and Beyond, he did quite well on it. But we'll see that Ringo instead.
Yeah, this is, you know, Invincible Armada, their other thought process might be, well, we got pressured in early in the last game, but they're going to go for the Jewel, so they will be mixing it up. We haven't seen this out of Invincible Armada since the very first game they played against Unknown. But Wine was great on it, and there are selections. Nothing changing. Let's get into Game 2. Game 2 between Invincible Armada and Hunters. Match point for Hunters. They can take this one, and they're going to run the exact same team composition. Worked for them in Game 1. And if you're in this position, why change it?
I don't think there's any reason to. I mean, Celeste, we've seen a huge comfort pick for Wands. Kind of makes sense. Queen, the Catherine did work out in that last game. She sometimes likes to play Arden, but maybe not today. Maybe she's feeling pretty comfortable on that Catherine this time around.
And yeah, I'm curious. Invincible Armada, oh, a little bit of a skirmish right here. And they're going to get some nice poke damage down with a flare in the brush. And Sangho's freed up from that mid lane again. Wands going to get hit first right here. Scout Trap is down for Invincible Armada. Thunderstrike coming through from Wine, and he's going to back off. And be careful about that Heliogenesis. Brush.
No. This is part of what makes Celeste a fantastic jungler. You can poke down those brushes, get the vision, and just control the areas and the different brushes near the middle side of this map. We are going to be seeing this Crystal Power Jewel this time around, and as you mentioned before, it's been a very long time since we did see this, but at least they are listening to the first part of my advice, which was, you know, mix up where your damage is coming from.
Yeah, and interestingly, against Unknown, Invincible Armada played this exact same team composition. Jewel, Catherine, Ringo, they look great on it. It was a lot about Wine using the Rocket Leap to set up his position for his ultimate. But that's very crucial. Jewel's ultimate on an extremely long cooldown, but obviously also doing a ridiculous amount of damage. So if you can execute it, it does do very well.
So Hunters, I mean, they know what to expect for sure when you are going against this composition. Maybe they were expecting more ganks to come out though, as we did see. Who is the team? I think it was Wild that went for, you know, that big composition with Catherine and Jewel, just setting up a ton of ganks in the lane. But Invincible Armada not quite going for that, just really trying to get Wine as fed as possible in the jungle.
Well, it does make Godfather, what we saw Hunters doing in the first game, or Invincible Armada doing, sorry, Hunters doing in the first game, was pushing that lane very aggressively and constantly moving Godfather down to that neutral shop, right? They kept a lot of presence like they're doing now, and see if they can pull it off. But that also means that you're very vulnerable as a Ringo against the Catherine Jewel combination.
Yeah. Godfather controlling the enemy bush here in the lane quite well. Was saying it before, Godfather, definitely one of these laners that should be known as one of the best. Very versatile laner, that is for sure. Knows how to control the lane.
There we go. Queen taking a little bit of poke damage, popping that shield on. Prevent from going down too low. And this time, Invincible Armada looking not so vulnerable in the early part of this game. They do have a lot better scaling this game, so they don't have to be as reliant on early jungle invades that they couldn't find in the last one.
Yeah. I think this game should be even more even, or I think Invincible Armada will take a decent lead in some of these early team fights and just run away with it. That's kind of my prediction. going into this one. I don't think Invincible Armada is going to just lay down and die and get O2'd by Hunters. That just doesn't strike me as something they would do.
Yeah, it doesn't seem too likely to me either, but they certainly are proving a little bit stronger here, not getting bullied around like they did in that last game. Songho seems to have adapted, playing a little bit more cautiously against Godfather. And Godfather has to be very worried right here. Standing in that brush is dangerous for him.
Yeah, it gives you some vision there, but at the same time, if you're even just slightly too far forward, just a stun combination with the slow out of the enemy Ringo could take you down so easily. Again, it just comes down to that confidence in the lane that he has. Just not really scared of anything that the enemy team is going to do.
Goldmine call coming in for Hunters. It's not really going to be worth very much, only 20 seconds after spawn though, so not really going to be the biggest deal for them to take it early. But they will be able to minion candy that and making it a little bit harder for Invincible Armada should they choose to have a fight around that objective.
Yeah, what this really just does for you is it allows that Goldmine to fight with you. For sure, you're not getting too much gold, but if you try to force fights around your gold mine, you're going to have a huge advantage, especially with the minion candy.
Indeed. Well, both of our Ringos have that tension bow up now. We haven't seen that same item disparity that we saw in the last game. Meanwhile, a little bit of checking right now, just around that gold mine. Invincible Armada will back off and head back to the safety of Songho in the lane. But very few real opportunities for ganks on Godfather so far, in spite of the crowd control. But Queen gonna walk into the brush and start to get kited out. Takes a bit of damage, but Juan's there on the follow-up. Wine gets stunned. He's not gonna be able to fire off an ultimate right there, despite having that big red button ready and waiting.
Yeah. These two teams just, it's very tense in this game so far. Still 0-0. And we're already 5.5 minutes into this game. It's pretty rare that you do see this in Vainglory, especially when you have Hunters in the game. Generally, they are very aggressive, but deciding just to play this one very safe with that 1-0 lead. They do not want to give away a free game with any stupid mistakes.
Well, I wonder, Invincible Armada, they knew that even with all the itemization advantages that Hunters had in the late game, they still nearly came away with that one. It was close, so Invincible Armada may just say, all right, we think we can match you if we just have a different composition in the late game, and that's what we're going to do. No need to play risky early on, just try and sit back and wait here. You can deal with your Celeste, since we have a couple of heroes that can dive deep.
I mean, the big difference in terms of farm so far is Songho over Godfather. 20, or now 18 minions more they're killed in the lane. So farming much better so far.
Okay, opening up with that Hellfire Brew. Wine gonna come through right now. Big Thunderstrike for damage. Gonna stun up Wands. There's the follow-up. Another stun. Big red button just melts them. And that's going to be 2 kills for none. Invincible Armada set up the combo and knock them down.
Yep, that's exactly what they had to do, forcing a team fight in that very small location.
Well, Godfather gonna hit it, but he will go down in response. Invincible Armada sees it, sets up the rocket leap, and that'll be it. So big win here for Invincible Armada in this early game, taking a commanding lead. And we're gonna check out the replay right now.
Yep, setting up that stun onto Wands, and then he stuns too there, Wine does, with his jump, and just, if they're both going to be that low, it's going to be very easy to clean up. Crystal Jewel, not the most played hero in the pool, but we were very impressed by Wine's play on it in the first game, and I was actually surprised that it took them that long to play it again, only playing it now. I think this is the 7th game they've played so far, so it's been a while, but he's really showing that prowess.
Yeah, Songho coming in just with a straight-up duel. He's going to dodge the core collapse, but he'll fall in the end, so a little bit greedy. Didn't know where the members of Hunters were necessarily, and is punished for his aggression. Hands the kill to the Celeste on the enemy team.
Yeah, kind of just, as you said, a bit greedy. He did get the jump onto Godfather, so thought maybe he would be able to take out that kill, but they don't really need to force big, plays like that in the lane, really. I think if he just continues to farm up and extend that lead that he already does have. Maybe bully Godfather a little bit, but don't all in him like that. I think he would be in a much better place.
Broken Myth now done for Wine, so starting to ramp up and be quite scary. But there's still that question. You miss one of those dual ults in the late game, and you don't have much else, especially with the way we saw Wine play it previously. Now, he has been using his jump very aggressively so far this game, but in the late game, he's primarily going to have to reposition with that to set up the ult on multiple people, one would think. So with that in mind, it's harder for him to hit the Thunder Strikes to get in range for those.
It's going to be interesting. I'm glad you point that out, because as Celeste in particular, and even Godfather and that Ringo with how aggressive he was in that last game, they're going to be very in your face. So unless he does see like a perfect jump opportunity onto maybe 2 or even 3 members, I would like to see him play a bit more passively as we get later on in this game.
Okay, well, more pressure inside the jungle. Invincible Armada trying to protect that gold miner and take what they can. Keeping the heat on. And so they'll just fall back, not getting too greedy. And here we go again. Nice Hellfire Brew, gonna hit 3. Sango will be stunned though, and there's no follow-up. And there's the Hellfire Brew on the other side. He will get healed up, however, by the Fountain of Renewal from Ruin. Solar Storm will be mostly blocked by Wine. No one's gonna go down, but Invincible Armada didn't seem all on the same page right there. They wanted to engage, but Wine and Ruin not really ready to do so at that point in time. They still see it though. Wine setting up right now is going to get stunned. There's the silence, so they deny Wine's chance to get some damage done, and Queen buys them time to retreat.
Yeah, I think he even had that jump queued up, but it was stunned down by Queen. So fantastic play there.
Gonna try and go for this. They're going to get the stun onto Godfather, but he will block it with the reflex block. However, Juan's going to get fried by the Jewel Ultimate. They're the boots. So they get the big gold payout though, and that gets them back in the game when it comes to gold.
Yeah, you can see how much damage that big red button is doing, especially in these extended team fights. He essentially just started the ultimate, and Juan's just disappeared off the map. It was a really nice dodge there by Godfather, but he still wasn't able to clean up the kill onto line, which was kind of unfortunate. But as you said, gold mine a very important objective, especially when it is that full, and they get it back in their favor here.
Yeah, Invincible Armada, I think, had they actually had their jungle and roamer there for that nice Hellfire Brew engage, it would have been gone very differently, but that wasn't an option. They can't fight too aggressively. They've got both Ringo and Jewel Ultimates down. Need to back off. Really, Invincible Armada, they can't really fight without the Jewel ult. That's not the best option for them.
So I feel like Hunter should definitely be trying to force something here, especially with Wands and his Solar Storm up. But maybe just not feeling it just yet. Want to be careful with how they do engage here. Rude taking control of this enemy bush. He does have 2 scout traps down. We're gonna attempt to clear them up now.
Moving forward, Invincible Armada will just fall back to their tier 1 turret once more. Still a very close game, and we'll even things up if Hunters can actually pick up this next gold payout in a couple minutes. So they don't have anything to worry about. Just hold on so far. Wait until they can actually just safely control that objective. It's up to Invincible Armada to make the next aggressive move.
And it does look like they want to begin pressuring towards this gold mine. Maybe not commit to taking it down unless they do win a big team fight. But now all 3 of them rotating into the lane.
Yeah, big trade there. Godfather takes the worst end of that. Hunters will just start controlling that brush, getting the Heliogenesis and the Supernova down there to deter Invincible Armada from walking into it. And they'll clear a scout trap. So just very tactical, movement-based game so far. Both teams playing the map, trying to find that good engage, but with the visions there. And there we go, Hellfire Brew again onto Wands. And they're going to try and follow this up, but there's nothing to be had at the moment. Instead, just want to clear out some vision and then back off once again.
Yeah. But again, with the minion candy here on that gold mine and no one going down for Hunters, they really cannot go for that objective yet. They just keep rotating between the jungle and the lane, trying to find a kill somewhere.
And here we go. Stun will go on to Oh, wow. Celeste just dies instantly. Great turn with the big red button. They don't get two. Ruin now falling a little bit low. And you know what they did was Songho used the Hellfire Brew onto Wands. Wands burned his reflex block, and then they set up the stun afterwards. So great forward thinking from Invincible Armada. Now they're going to just bump Godfather out. A little bit of a miss on the stun right there, but the second one will land quite easily. And there's a kill onto the Ringo. Queen not going to fall. Wands back up right now, so they got to take this quick.
Yeah, does not have that Solar Storm, and Queen getting very aggressive once again. Really wants to deny this gold mine, but I don't think she should be able to. Has to be very careful. It does look like there's not much energy or health here on Invincible Armada, but they do take it back, and they have now taken a 3K gold lead.
Yeah, very nice indeed. So Invincible Armada is maintaining their lead throughout this game, but what a great setup. I mean, they don't really care about the Hellfire Brew here as long as they can burn reflex block. Sure, if they land it, it's great, but it's creating a lot of difficult decisions for Hunters to make. They'll take a turret in response. But what do you do with that situation? You either get poked out and they take the gold mine, and you take a lot of damage over time from the Hellfire Brew, or you lose your reflex block and then Ruin just gets onto you with a stun. Yeah. It makes very tough decisions for Hunters.
I guess maybe they should just, Juan should just save that reflex block, allow himself to get healed up by the Fountain Renewal, but then again, if they use that too early, they're not going to have it later on for those team fights, so I mean, we've seen it before. Hellfire Brew can be very useful just for getting cooldowns out of the enemy team and not necessarily doing tons of damage, especially on the weapon power Ringo.
Tiny gold payout.
Okay. So Kraken will spawn right now. And we're going to see Queen just check that brush, and she will use the ultimate. And there's the Hellfire Brew onto Wine, and there's the Solar Storm taking a giant chunk out of the members of Invincible Armada. Will use that Rocket Leaf just to get to safety. They're scrambling right now. Hunters is closing in, though. Godfather on the pursuit. Songho all by his own. They managed to isolate him. They will get in on top of Godfather, but the second stun not going to hit. There's the big red button. They need to burn him down. They don't. And so Hunters now has a couple low members. Wands trying to finish this up, and Ruin will just try and recall. Whoa. Gets out by the skin of his teeth, and can they turn this into a Kraken? Do they even want to turn this into a Kraken right now?
Maybe not just yet. Does look like they are hovering around there, so maybe they are taking it.
Actually, they will. Go for it.
Wow. Okay. I mean, you do have that Ringo and the Celeste. They are fantastic about sieging turrets, so I mean, I guess this isn't a terrible composition to go for this kind of play, and they will get a ton of health and energy back with this Kraken buff, of course.
And yeah, they are going to heal up and set up for a siege right here.
They want to just continue putting on the pressure, it seems. It's like Hunters has kind of hit this point where they're like, okay, now Godfather has gotten an Aegis, and now Wands is farmed up enough with the Crucible. Now we can just be very aggressive like we were in Game 1. And that was not the team fight that Invincible Armada wanted to take. They were very split up. All the members of Hunters were also split up, so the big red button's efficiency was taken down hugely.
Well, Invincible Armada's going to go for it. Godfather gets jumped on. Second stun doesn't hit thanks to the reflex block, and Wine will be targeted out right here. Solar Storm hits 2. Invincible Armada now trying to turn this around. Godfather the first to fall. Queen looking on the backside, trying to get a stun, is not going to hit it. Wands gets bounced into the turret and killed. Everyone's so low on Invincible Armada, but are they going to get an ace? Yes. Yes, they will. And Invincible Armada gets that healing buff, and they turn onto the Kraken, so they manage to win the team fight, and they're going to come out on top when it comes to gold.
Just a bit too aggressive there from Hunters. They're really trying to push their lead with that Kraken, but unfortunately they do get caught out just very, very close team fight there. And yeah, I mean, this Kraken is definitely going to do a bit of damage, but overall definitely not worth it here for Hunters.
Take a look at that fight again, and Godfather gets out of the way of the big red button, but the rest of the damage, Songho just keeps on targeting him.
Yeah, the forward star there on the Solar Storm does hit Ruin, who, you know, hugely tanky on that Catherine, taking a ton of damage, does not go down towards the end. And Wine survives for the majority of the fight as well. Now you can see he just barely got away with the jump earlier on in that team fight, and the Solar Storm was not directed at him. And so, you know, he was able to come right back into that fight with the jump and get back onto Celeste after Ringo had gone down.
Okay, Songho caught out alone again. This has been a problem this game. There's the Solar Storm, and goodbye, Godfather takes him out. Again, a scattered team from Invincible Armada leads to a pretty unnecessary pick.
Yeah, that just should not happen. To be honest, at this level right now in the semifinals, they cannot afford to be losing someone like Ringo this early on.
And now they're going to lose the turret. Let's see what else Hunters can get. Hunters fighting to stay in this game, finding those picks that they need to stay alive.
And of course, by early on, I mean late on in this game. As the death timers get longer and longer, Vainglory, of course, a game you play with only 3 members on each team, so every member you lose is just that more critical to your demise.
Absolutely. Wine, Shatterglass completed now, so he's just going for that big crystal power spike, trying to just maximize his scaling on that ultimate. Godfather going for that piercing spear build again, interestingly enough.
This time 3 in a row. I think they did scale that down a bit in 1.8. So maybe after we do switch patches, it will not come out again. Wine taking a huge amount of damage.
And there's the long-range burst. Hellfire Brew into Solar Storm. And Queen coming in. Ruin trying to delay them by using his ultimate and trying to get out with his sprint boots, but another pick. And this is the danger of Hunter's comp, though. They have enormous long-range poke.
It's just huge, and if you're able to take out someone like Juan, who is so critical to this team composition, it's just going to be a huge play. And now, stealing a bunch of farm, going to take down the gold, or rather the minion mine here, and just continue with that pressure. They have fought their way back into this game. Hunters is not losing this second one too easily.
Yeah, now down only a paltry 400 gold, and they're the ones in control. Still no turrets even taken by Invincible Armada yet, so they haven't been able to put together a siege. And the Kraken spawning right as we speak. They're going to try and take it again. How quickly can they do it? Ruin sees what's going on. He knows what they're up to. And that's not going to be happening during the spawn. Still leashed a little bit right there, but it will go back and start to heal up.
Yeah, they were just testing it there, not too much burned.
Okay, Queen now, trying to retreat. We'll find that not too threatening at the moment. Hellfire Brew coming through again. They want Wands to burn his reflex block. He does burn the Crucible, so 45 seconds now, where he's not going to have that available.
Yeah, you could see him almost standing there deciding whether or not to use it. He's
yeah, I'm sure he was. He was like, really want to use this right now?
I mean, it has been overdrived. It does an incredible amount of damage at this point, even on a weapon power Ringo.
Out there, Queen found out, gets the first stun. Getting a little bit of damage down. They're going to dive this, actually, but the Rocket Leap only knocks him back, doesn't land the stun. Oh, big Solar Storm onto 3. And the accuracy on that ult, but Queen gets hit by the big red button, and holy cow, Wine saved by the Fountain of Renewal. Juan's now trying to finish this one off. Songho's still there, and another Rocket Leap that misses. Meanwhile, Wands will force out the boot use from Songho.
Not enough energy here for an Achilles shot, and Songho, it looks like, will get away.
So close. And Wands now walking back into the jungle. Can they actually pick up this Kraken? They've got 30 seconds. They should be able to get it, but they're not very tanky right now, and there's still 16 seconds on Queen.
This is just a really smart decision. They knew that they pushed back Invincible Armada so far back, and Wine going down, as I said before, is so crucial to this team fight. And if they don't have them, they're not going to be comfortable fighting Hunters at any point in the game. So now Kraken taken, and there's only 2 more turrets left over.
Well, you really have to hand it to Hunters. If we think about the map play, the macro play, it's usually Invincible Armada that we talk about, the team that can play from behind. But Hunters came in, they were down 6-1 in terms of kills. They were consistently down when it came to gold, and yet they fought back. They've gotten both Krakens so far this game, and they have shown that they've been the better team on the map.
It's just incredible to watch the team fighting. Hold that thought.
Yeah, Godfather gonna get stunned during his ultimate. There's the Solar Storm again, but it doesn't do quite so much damage this time. Songho's still there. Godfather getting low. Big red button hits 3. Huge ultimate. Can Invincible Armada clean this one up? Queen will get chain CC'd, and Invincible Armada will again turn onto the Kraken, but it's gonna get some damage done in the base.
Yeah, may be able to take out a turret here, and so get
it'll
Hunters
get one.
that much closer to taking out that main base. Yeah, we'll be able to take out one here, but again, just not the best positioning. I think maybe Hunters, they see the victory in their sights. They're like, okay, we got this, but they're being just maybe an ounce too aggressive and getting a bit out of position at times there.
Well, I mean, you have to hand it to Wands. In this entire game, that was probably the first bad Solar Storm that he's had. And
Yeah.
it wasn't even that bad, right? It's just his other ones have been very on point.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And now picking up an Eve of Harvest, he's going to be a menace now in these long team fights. And Invincible Armada looking to possibly take out one turret, as the death timers are pretty long at this point, but they do have to be careful. They have ended, and Hunters is coming back.
And stutter stepping to avoid those heliogeneses. They're going to go into Wands again. Wands did use that Crucible. And now they're going to hit that Hellfire Brew. Solar Storm in response. Big red button is up. He's going to hit 2. And there's 3. And Invincible Armada may be coming from behind right here. Got to jump forward. Can he get in range of the Thunderstrike? Godfather's still there. They may be diving too deep on this. Kiting coming in. And there's the slow onto Ruin. So Invincible Armada fighting back, and they are extending this gold lead ever so methodically.
Oh boy, Hunters just slowly losing their grip on this game. You can even see Queen panicking a bit, thinking they were going to dive double turrets, and using her ult kind of in not the best position. Now has to wait another 40 seconds before she can use that once again.
Well, the Crucible use right there from Wands, it came early, and you can see how fast these decisions come in. As soon as they saw it come early, they immediately use the Hellfire Brew as soon as they see that shield fall, and then they follow up with the Jewel Ultimate. So Invincible Armada doing a good job of playing around those item cooldowns from Hunters this game.
Yeah. It's kind of cool also to see Wine picking up a Clockwork in this game. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm an ult bot in this game. I need my ult as many times as possible. I shouldn't say ult bot. He's got a pretty good stun to follow up as well after the Catherine. But, you know, the majority of his damage is definitely going to be coming from that ultimate. And if you can get it just that much quicker, I think it's a pretty good item to pick up.
Yeah, that's what I like about watching Crystal Power Jewel 2 is that it's very high risk, high reward. You nail one of those ults, you look like a god. You miss one, and your team can just lose the whole game. I mean, we're 25 minutes into this one. If he misses an ult right now, the game is probably over.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to say that, but it is, you know, quite true. Unless everything else does go right.
Well, here we go. They got the reflex block again. Wands has to retreat. So a couple more item cooldowns, boots and reflex block now down for Wands.
Yeah. You can really see the split-second decision-making there in Vainglory. Wands, you know, he probably was enough out of range of that Catherine stun, but if he did get stunned, there was a high chance, probably 90%, that he would have gone down, so he had to use the Crucible.
There's the silence, and here we go. Godfather going to take the first barrage from the Hellfire Brew. Ruin trying to zone him out right now. Wands in the back, the stun, going to nail one, but it hits Queen. Oh, Wine doesn't have a good ult. And now they're on the run. Invincible Armada will get stunned. Is this the follow-up? Is this the time that Hunters need? Ruin going to fall in the end, and they miss that Jewel ult. They miss the engage.
And that's all it takes, Monte Cristo. Only one turret left and huge death timers here. They're not even going to worry about the Kraken. And it looks like Hunters, another foreign team, will be going to the finals.
Wow, so they're just going to charge into the enemy base, tank out that last turret, and nothing's going to stop Hunters right now. You see Queen smiling on your screen, knowing that they are going to be punching their ticket 2-0 against Invincible Armada to the finals here at the Vainglory International Premier League. And they're going to make it. Vayne Crystal goes down. Congratulations to Hunters, and we'll see them against Gangstars on Sunday.